It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Your emails as well at randykabc@gmail.com and search for the KABC News Blitz wherever you get your podcasts. Share it on YouTube. Hit like, hit subscribe. Well, it's that time of year in Southern California in between Memorial Day and Labor Day where people like to make things go boom in the sky at all hours of the night in every single neighborhood in Southern California. I wholeheartedly admit I have become an old crank about fireworks. I don't like fireworks. I grew up loving fireworks. You know, I used to go to theme parks all the time as a kid, and you love when there were fireworks at Magic Mountain or fireworks at Disneyland or fireworks at the beach on the 4th of July. But that's not what we're dealing with anymore. What we deal with is fireworks all the time for no reason, and there are a lot of things that irritate me about them outside of the fact that it's just loud and annoying. Because unless you're directly watching it, you're just hearing lots of thuds and booms in your neighborhood at all hours of the night. And then the car alarms go off. And what do you know? This is getting really bad in one specific neighborhood that is supposed to be a place where fireworks have been banned. And that, of course, is the city of Carson. We'll find out what's going on there. But just remember that while fireworks are annoying to some people love them, we have possible evidence that fireworks might have been the reason the Palisades fire happened. We know other fires have been started by illegal fireworks. And not only that, if you happen to be the owner of any dogs or cats, you know how irritating, annoying, and awful fireworks are. Legal and illegal, big shows, little, it doesn't matter. The constant booms drive my little dog crazy, and I don't like to deal with that. I actually have a rule. I will not spend 4th of July or New Year's Eve in Southern California. I refuse. Because I live in the San Fernando Valley, and the San Fernando Valley, every single time there is a firework holiday, turns into Fallujah. Heck, every single time there's not a fireworks holiday, there's still people blasting them off all the time. In fact, I have a school that's about a mile away from my house. And when they have like a prom night, they're launching fireworks into the air. Now, they send every house in the neighborhood a little postcard that says, hey, there's going to be fireworks, but I don't have an opportunity to say, no, don't do that. So I get the hell out of Dodge. I have spent 4th of July last year in Carmel by the Sea, which I think is the only town in the state of California that when they say they ban fireworks, they ban fireworks, because I didn't hear a single one. But Carmel is very pricey. Beautiful place, though, and if you love dogs, it is the dog heaven. I'll be doing it in Santa Fe this year because, guess what? Adobe Homes, harder to hear all the boom, 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 plus small place in the mountains, there's not that much boom, boom, boom. But something about Los Angeles, Southern California, people love to make things go boom, and that's what's going on in Carson right now. Let's hear a report from KTLA. That just sounds like machine gun fire. I am a crank about this, and I don't think they're fun anymore.
The 4th of July is a month away, but illegal fireworks are already being launched in Carson, and they're annoying residents. City officials are making it clear that the use of any fireworks will result in steep fines.
KTLA. Although that doesn't seem to stop anybody. I mean, it's one of those things where it doesn't matter if you're a jurisdiction that bans it. Trying to enforce it can be very difficult. There's been some huge fireworks busts lately, and I appreciate that. But these things seem to be coming from all over the place, whether they're getting from Arizona, Mexico, Alaska, you name it.
KTLA's Omar Lewis is in Carson with the developing news there. Omar, good morning. Lou, Lauren, good morning to you both. The city has enforced its You Light It, We Cite It campaign. They've also...
Oh, it rhymed. You know someone thought that hard.
You Light It, We Cite It campaign. They've also increased the costs of fines for those caught violating this citywide ban. But despite all of that, neighbors here say it sounds like a war zone at night, and they're hoping the video that you're about to see sparks change and sheds light on the issue.
Remember, this isn't on an actual holiday. This isn't Memorial Day. This isn't Juneteenth. This isn't July 4th. This is just a random weekend in Carson. Boom. True story. I have a friend who used to operate a fireworks stand in Alaska, and the meth heads would drive up there and say, "Hey, you got anything that goes boom?"
It's been very loud. It shakes the house. It wakes the kids. It scares them. It's disturbing.
And I know I should love fireworks. I'm an American. We love to blow things up. It's a beautiful thing to see all the lights in the sky. And I have seen some pretty damn cool fireworks shows, usually during my raving days in the 2012, 2013s.
From bright bursts in the sky to thunderous pops that rattle windows and set off car alarms, this is not the 4th of July. These videos were just taken this past week by Carson residents who say illegal fireworks are going off night after night, often well past midnight. They say it's waking up children, disturbing their sleep, terrifying pets, and shattering the peace.
And to go with our theme of shows this week, who's usually doing this? The down-ass kids. That was going on. Remember, it was that teenager who was shooting them off constantly in a neighborhood in Santa Clarita. We love blowing stuff up.
In neighborhoods that are typically quiet here, according to city laws, all fireworks are banned in Carson, so no sparklers, no smoke bombs, not even those so-called safe and sane kinds of fireworks. In March...
Yeah, that's one of those oxymorons. There's no safe and sane firework. What, the snakes? It's not even a thing.
In March.
How about this is an incredibly dangerous place that can set on fire in an instant and no fireworks are acceptable. Maybe that's a controversial position, but I'm in that. You know, it looked silly when they first announced that it was going to be drone shows at Dodger Stadium instead of fireworks. I'm all for it. The drones could do cool stuff and they don't blow anything up.
In March, the city updated its ordinance and hiked up the penalties, $2,000 for a first offense, $3,000 for a second, and $5,000 for every violation after that. City leaders say this ban is meant to reduce fire risks and protect vulnerable community members from all the loud noises. But neighbors say the enforcement is not keeping up, leaving residents to suffer the consequences while the skies light up and the complaints pile up.
The whole piece, I think, is different fireworks videos that have been sent in just from this part of Carson in the last week.
I've woken up to my kids screaming, crying. I mean, it's woken me up, and hearing them cry and not being able to get back to bed, it's a problem. We've been here for about 5 years now, and we have experienced this multiple times throughout the year.
That it's very disturbing, and it's...
And what do you do? I mean, it's not like I can just up and move. Interest rates are too damn high, but I guess I should have known better when I decided to move in the middle of the San Fernando Valley. But again, this is happening all over the place. I don't know if there's anywhere that's not a fireworks hotspot. It's happening in Santa Clarita, it's happening in San Bernardino, and it's definitely happening in the Valley.
That it's very disturbing, and it's lasted for 10 minutes to half an hour. I asked my husband, can you just call 911 because this is not gonna stop. I think it's not gonna stop. It's not right, you know, especially at night. Yeah, the city needs to do something about it.
And I don't know what you do. Police departments all throughout the state are stretched as thin as possible, having to go after, I don't know, people ramming Kias into gas stations. But I don't know what we do about this outside of the public. We have to reject this. And if your dumbass teenagers have fireworks, you got to get rid of them.
And city officials say residents can call and report an anonymous tip for illegal fireworks to their public safety department. However, these residents say enforcement remains an issue here. And with the 4th of July just a few weeks away, they're worried that the worst is still to come. That is the latest for now. Here live from Carson this morning, I'm Omar Lewis. We'll send it back to you in the studio.
And that's just one part of Southern California where these things are taking over neighborhoods. I don't know where they're getting them all because it's supposed to be not allowed there. But there are some jurisdictions that sell, quote, safe and sane fireworks. And even that's being debated. That's what's going on in San Bernardino County right now, as there was a meeting to decide if it was time for a moratorium on fireworks there because, shocker, big fire risk in San Bernardino County, just like everywhere else in the state of California. Here's KCAL.
Now to this, a late-night debate over fireworks in San Bernardino. Several residents speaking up at the council meeting for and against a proposed ban on the sale of safe and sane fireworks.
This is about kids that are going to be highly affected. I'm speaking from experience, and I'm trying to implore you guys that this, as Coach Kaler said, would be completely devastating.
As a veteran, you should understand how devastating it is to hear the sounds like bombs going off outside your door.
Yeah, we ever think about the PTSD of all the veterans, whether they're living in homes or they're outside that have to deal with that? I don't like it. And it's not like we're talking about the planned shows, which a lot of those get canceled because of funding or fire risk to begin with. This is just jackasses. And we know, like, I don't know what you do when what we're talking about is the already illegal fireworks. It's just so hard to enforce on such a granular level until they already go off. I mean, what do we need? Do we need drones with thermal detection to see if they can detect gunpowder in your house? I don't know.
It re-traumatizes veterans, terrifies families, and sends animals into a panic.
The city just voting not to ban fireworks, but instead set a 10% regulatory fee on fireworks for this year.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Tonight, KCAL's Nicole Comstock explains the concern on both sides of the issue.
Okay, I'd love to hear the other side of this. Although, again, we're talking about the legal sale of safe and sane fireworks, whatever that means. Sparklers, I'm sure no one has ever started a fire from sparklers.
The moratorium mentions the devastating LA fires in January as a reason to pump the brakes on fireworks sales. But the police chief says it wouldn't stop illegal fireworks. And the nonprofits who run these fireworks stands say losing that money would devastate them. We're 1 month away from the 4th of July, and the San Bernardino City Council met to discuss placing a one-year moratorium on the sale of safe and sane fireworks in the city. They're buying time to decide whether or not they'll ban them permanently.
And it's dangerous. It scares me. I've worked all my life for that house, and I don't want it to go up in flames.
John Sholin.
I mean, this is a real concern. Again, we don't know, but there has been evidence that while we don't know the official start for the Palisades fire, there was a fire that was started on New Year's Eve that could have still had some embers or something going on there a few days later when the official fire started. And we know that first fire did start by fireworks, and fires get started by fireworks all the time.
John Schollenberger says he stays home on the 4th of July because he's worried about recklessly used fireworks of all kinds in the city.
I think what it stems is people get the idea that, oh, well, fireworks are legal in San Bernardino. We can light off whatever we want. No, it's not. That's not it.
The city says the safe and sane fireworks, which are sold exclusively by licensed nonprofits.
This is about kids that are going to be highly affected.
Without that money, our students don't go to Astro Camp. They don't go to Catalina.
Can we find something else for them to sell? I don't know. Bake sale? Magazine subscriptions? Is that still a thing? I remember having to do that to raise money for my band. But the only way we could send these kids to Catalina, which, hey, I grew up in Southern California. I never had a field trip to Catalina. Lucky you. But the only way we can do that is by selling fireworks.
Often end up being used in a dangerous way, leading to increased police calls.
Oh, so you can use a safe and sane firework in an unsafe way. Yeah, you're not going to Catalina, in my opinion. Although I have no say in this, they voted to keep it, just add an extra tax.
Often end up being used in a dangerous way, leading to increased police calls.
How are they making decisions on what you can and cannot do? I can see if you're doing something unsafely.
But others disagree and say they're nostalgic.
I loved lighting them, watching them, jumping through them, all of that.
San Bernardino
Jumping through them? Okay, then.
San Bernardino generates about $94,000 a year from fireworks sales, but says it costs $269,000 issuing permits and enforcing codes for them.
Oh, so it's a losing venture, even though we send the kids to camp.
Which becomes a burden when police are simultaneously responding to illegal fireworks calls.
I'm concerned with how that may impact our enforcement abilities overall.
But San Bernardino Police Chief Darren Goodman isn't sure the moratorium will make neighborhoods here safer. In fact, he says Safe and Sane fireworks actually help his officers crack down on the more powerful and dangerous illegal fireworks. That's because their big fireworks busts are funded in part by reimbursements from the Safe and Sane sales tax.
Okay. So the sale of Safe and Sane fireworks leads to a task force that can go after the big fireworks. Although, if you do remember that massive bust in the City of Commerce earlier this year, it was someone who is a company that imports Safe and Sane fireworks that turns out had a massive warehouse of illegal fireworks.
Last year, he says it helped his officers put a big dent in illegal fireworks calls.
We went out, we did undercover operations, we did, social media purchases of illegal fireworks. And so we collected so many before the 4th of July that by the time the 4th of July came around, our calls for service for fireworks went down.
And there were already restrictions on Safe and Sane fireworks in the city of San Bernardino. They were only allowed south of the 210 freeway from the 1st of July through the 4th. Reporting in San Bernardino, Nicole Comstock, KCAL News.
So that's what's going on in San Bernardino. You heard what's going on in Carson, but wherever you live, wherever you are listening to this, the risk of fire is real from these things outside of all the other annoyances, which is that they're loud, they can set off car alarms, people shoot them off at all hours of the night, and most importantly to me, it drives my dog crazy. One of my dogs. The Cavalier doesn't seem to care because she's got long ears that droop down. It's kind of like where she's wearing earmuffs all the time. But the Chihuahua mix drives her crazy, and she starts shaking, and then I feel awful, and I just want to leave this hellish place that we live. But I'd love to hear from you at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Am I alone in this, or have you soured on fireworks because of the fire danger and all the other insanity that goes with it? I don't know how we actually enforce it, but I'm sick of fireworks. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. In 2025, have you soured on the concept of fireworks in Southern California? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. I'm a crank on fireworks, and I'm proud to admit it. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. We're taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. It's that time of year where fireworks are getting set off in all neighborhoods at all hours of the night, and we can try to increase the fines, we can try to enforce it, but there's just not a whole lot that can be done. If your neighborhood has turned into a fireworks war zone, if you've soured on fireworks, and I'm not alone here, give me a call, 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Why are you sick of fireworks? Let's go to Ted in Whittier. Ted, hello.
Hey, Randy. Well, I've been thinking with all the people that have like porch cameras and all kinds of surveillance. I mean, you're right. It has to be a cultural shift because obviously, like here in Whittier and probably just about everywhere else, supposedly the cops have to catch the person in the act. Well, that's not going to happen. So we need to set up some sort of an incentive program where if people have videos on from their porch or wherever, and they can pinpoint the perpetrators, those people should be remunerated or partially rewarded with some of the they should allow the cops, therefore, to be able to just use that video and to kick down the doors of the perpetrators. And if they're illegals, and here in Whittier, most of them are illegal aliens, deport them. But what's more annoying and unbelievable is on Christmas Eve here in Whittier at midnight on Christmas Eve. It sounded like a B-52 strike coming from the L.A. area, and lo and behold, East LA and Montebello have professional shows on Christmas Eve. So you talk about bad taste. So it has to be a
what happened to
thing.
Silent Night?
Exactly. Some 90-year-old abuela trying to pray the rosary at the midnight mass. You're damn right.
I think that's another thing culturally we have to look into, like you said, and I think that's some really great ideas, Ted. Thanks so much for the call. I love the idea of we all got to come together. If you've got video evidence of someone in your neighborhood setting this stuff off, you post it online, you send it into the local PD, we make a bust or we shame them. But I also think I'm done with the public fire shows, even the official ones. I'm done with all of it. Do drone shows. They could be very fancy, very cool, but we've got to just discourage this thing altogether. Even at the raves, and I used to love those. I've had enough. I think they're too dangerous, and we've got to make a stance that this is unacceptable in a place that's as dangerous for fire as this, as much as all the other problems. 800-222-KABC is the phone number, 1-800-222-5222. Hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you love blowing stuff up. Give me a call. Are you sick of fireworks in Southern California? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Whether it's because of the fire risk, it pisses off your animals, or you're sick of getting woken up in the middle of the night thinking that it's World War III, are you sick of fireworks in Southern California? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. If you're on hold, stay on hold. We'll get to your calls next. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Your emails as well at randykabc@gmail.com, and search for the KABC News Blitz wherever you get your podcasts. Well, it's that time of year, fireworks season. Where you get woken up by that every other night, your dogs freak out, and there's a massive risk of fire. And we're not just talking about on the holidays, because these happen all the time. And I don't really have a policy change here because fireworks are already illegal in so many places, although safe and sane ones are legal in San Bernardino, and we can only enforce so much, but maybe it's just time to vent. Are you like me? Are you sick of fireworks? Legal, illegal, public shows, private shows, all of it? I am. 800-222-KABC is the phone number, 1-800-222-5222. And if you think I'm just a crank, give me a call, 800-222-KABC. Let's go to Valerie in Redondo. Valerie, hello.
Hi. You know what? You are 100% right. I cannot stand fireworks. I can't stand them. And let me tell you something. One of the biggest reasons I don't like them, aside from fire risk, is the effect it does have on wildlife. I hear that birds will abandon nests because they're so freaked out over it. The fireworks do kill wildlife. And they say that is the one night where there is the most impact to animal shelters because so many animals, dogs in particular, escape. They escape from their yards. They escape to get away from these fireworks, and many of them get hit by cars. Many of them just end up in our overcrowded shelters to begin with. It's just there's no benefit to a fireworks show anymore. I don't understand why they're still going on around here.
Yeah, I think that's part of the public education we have to put on there is all of the other consequences for whether it's legal or illegal, watching a whole bunch of stuff go boom. Because you're right, it freaks out all animals, whether they're living in homes, they're running away from homes, or the wildlife that's in general. Maybe that's what gets coyotes to run out of the mountains and into neighborhoods. Who knows? But there are so many consequences outside of the fact that it's an incredible danger for fire, and we just had half the city almost burned down.
Totally agreed. I think, I don't even like the big public displays either. I just think that there's so many alternatives, and it just drives me nuts that the fireworks start as early as like the end of June, and then they continue into like the second week of July. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Oh, I've got a high school near me, and it feels like every quarter there's some event at the high school where they send a postcard into my mailbox saying, hey, there's going to be fireworks on this random Thursday. And it goes on for 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's stupid. I agree.
Thanks so much for the call, Valerie. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. I'm guessing I'm not alone here. Are you sick of fireworks in Southern California? I've had it. I don't like it, and it is a reason why when it comes to the big fireworks holidays, the 4th of July and New Year's Eve, I make sure I'm nowhere near Southern California. And then every single time I do that, I wonder why I ever come back. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. 1-800-222-5222. I'm telling you, people, I'm daydreaming about it every single day of getting out of Los Angeles. I will still do this job if I'm allowed to, but I don't want to live here anymore. I can't take it. Let's go to Bill in La Cañada. Bill, hello.
Randy, I'm embarrassed to say this, but I'm a descendant of Francis Scott Key, the guy who wrote that awful Star Spangled Banner that John Phillips starts his show with every day. I hate that song. And it turns out it was stolen from some British pub songwriter. But the other bad news, Randy, it's not just the down-ass kids going crazy. I called the cops on two of my retired white middle-aged neighbors a couple years ago, one of whom was a confirmed Vietnam veteran who should have known better. And they were shooting off cannons, cherry bombs, sparklers right in the middle of the street near dried trees. And a cop car finally showed up 2 hours later, and they just parked across the street for 5 minutes, and then they left. You know, I couldn't even get through on the regular cop line. I had to call 911, and I asked them, is it okay to use this? And they go, sure. And then they didn't show up for 2 hours. So we lack the will and the resources to catch and prosecute these people. And nobody's going to jail for this. And we got all these people, you know, doing smash and grabs and getting away with it. So, you know, plus our resources have been cut, as you pointed out, by Karen Bass, who, you know, while she was partying in Ghana. So nobody cares about this stuff, but you're right. It's really dangerous.
It is, and it's something that's so difficult to enforce unless you catch people in the act. So we just got to publicly shame the hell out of these people.
Yeah, the most effective thing that happened was one of my other neighbors yelled out his window, "You better knock off that GD fireworks. I'm going to call the cops." And that seemed to shut some people down.
Yeah, I think we need to have louder public sentiment that this is unacceptable and we don't like it anymore. And there are plenty of ways to entertain yourself outside of blowing stuff up in a very high fire risk area like Southern California. Bill, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. Let's go to Robert in Westchester. Robert, hello.
Hey, Randy. How you doing? I think it's my birthright as an American to spend my hard-earned money on Chinese-made fireworks to celebrate our independence.
That is a very interesting point because, yeah, we don't sure make those things here. All the things that blow up come from China.
Amen, brother. Great show.
Thanks so
Talk
much
to you soon.
Thank you. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. 1-800-222-5222. Have you had it up to here with fireworks like me? Because they don't just happen on the holidays. They happen throughout the whole summer, throughout neighborhoods, pissing off animals, pissing off your neighbors, waking up your kids. Are you sick of fireworks the way I am? 800-222-KABC. 1-800-222-5222. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. The phones are exploding like fireworks. Let's go to James in Azusa. James, hello.
Hey, Randy, you know, it's not hard to catch these guys. I'm ex-Army. You know, all you got to do, you know, we've all heard of the early detection for bullets flying in L.A., right? They already have those early detections out. But you got to respond within minutes. It's not hard to stake out a park because they already know where the volume of calls are coming from. And all you got to do is put a little common sense. If I was a homeless criminal with fireworks, where would I be doing them? In the park somewhere right down here on Gladstone Street where I know they set them off. It's always between 10 and 12 after nightfall and before the criminals go to bed because they got to sleep too. You stake out a couple people with night visions, and it's not hard. but they don't have the resources, John. And if I were to do it single-handedly, they'd probably use San Francisco politics and arrest me.
Well, we can't do that, but I do love the idea of neighborhoods banding together, triangulating where these things are going, and maybe it's time to perform a citizen's arrest. Thanks so much for the call, James. Appreciate it. Or tell them to knock that off. My dog can't handle it. Let's go to Pam in Lake Forest. Pam, hello.
Hi. Thank you for taking my call. In addition to all the other... Can you hear me?
You're on the air.
Hello? Can you hear me?
You're on the air.
Oh, okay. Sorry. There was an overlap. I didn't know. In addition to all of the other comments that I am in total agreement with, something I haven't heard mentioned yet is there are particularly veterans suffering from PTSD who have terrible reactions to these fireworks. I don't think they're necessary. Even the professional shows aren't necessary because now we have the technology to do incredible light shows digitally. I don't know if it's lasers or what, and they could be playing music instead of these explosion noises.
I think you're so right, Pam. Thank you so much for the call. It is triggering for veterans, so it is patriotic to not launch fireworks because there's plenty of veterans out there that'll make them remember some of the worst times in their lives, and we shouldn't want to do that. And you know what? When it comes to the drones and the lasers, there are so many more impressive things you can do visually to celebrate patriotism than blowing up stuff that was invented 500 years ago. More of your calls coming up next. If you're on hold, stay on hold. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. Let's go to Roxy in Woodland Hills. Roxy, hello.
Yeah, how you doing? I moved here from Brooklyn, and it was the other night. It all started with a spark, One little pop outside my window right around 9:17 p.m. I thought it was a car backfiring until I saw it through the window. It was a flash. It was red, then blue, and then it was green. And I'm over here thinking no engine makes that kind of sound, And when I go to the window, it was a firework. And just like that, it was like a war began. Boom, bow, everywhere, down the street, behind me, everywhere. I served 2 years in the Army Reserves for summers in OHA Council, and I've mowed this lawn every Saturday since 1983. I know what peace looks like, and this isn't it, Randy. I'm trying to tell you.
I totally feel you, man. I deal with it every single weekend in my neighborhood, and it's unacceptable. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. I think what we got to do is no more public displays either. It's unacceptable, not allowed. There are other ways for us to look at cool things in the sky, whether it's drone shows or laser shows. You should see, when you go to a rave, and most of you probably haven't been to a rave, but when you go to like EDC or even Coachella, the least interesting visual thing they do is the fireworks. All the other stuff, there's so much more cool things to do, and they don't irritate animals, and they do not cause fires. Let's go to Charlene in Culver City. Charlene, hello.
Hey there. Yes, I was going to bring up the point about the animals. We have an old dog in our house, and she just shakes, and my daughter-in-law is afraid she's just going to die because she's so scared. I'm in Hawthorne, near Rosecrans, the 405, and they go crazy in our neighborhood. And a lot of dogs get out. They get picked up by animal control. Some people never pick them up. It's a terrible thing for animals and the wild animals. All the raccoons and other animals must be scared to death.
Yeah, I can't stand it. That's why I refuse to be in Southern California on the 4th of July or at New Year's Eve. I go out of town, and I take my dogs with me.
We have our national anthem, the bombs bursting in air. Okay? So people think it's like a thing. It's cool. We should celebrate it. Not to be celebrated.
I think we just got to, I understand acknowledging the history and I understand the national anthem and everything else, but I feel like it's time to move on from that just from the fact that it's not practical anymore. There's plenty of things that we did in the 1780s that we don't do now because they're not practical. Thanks so much for the call, Charlene. Appreciate it. Let's go to John in Pasadena. John, hello.
Hey, good evening. Thanks for all you do. Listen, I've lived here for 15 years. And this Arroyo Seco stuff that the Rose Bowl pollutes is unbelievable. Last year, it had the most toxic levels of smoke anywhere recorded in L.A. County, and Pasadena is responsible for that nonsense. And you know what? They just need to stop having those shows at the Rose Bowl.
Totally. You know, we spend so much time doing PSAs in this county about how secondhand smoke is bad for you, like that billboard on Santa Monica Boulevard. Well, there are toxic effects. There is smoke that comes out from these things, and it gets into the air, and it gets into the neighborhood, and that's just yet another reason why it's time to move on.
That smoke cloud sat out there for 2 days in the Arroyo, north of the Rose Bowl. Unbelievable. And there's a street here, ironically named Palisades, where there's a bunch of knuckleheads that over the last 15 years, they just light this stuff off like you can't believe. Cops come up, they look at them, they just like, okay, well, we can't get in here and do anything here, let them go. And that's the kind of BS we got to deal with.
Yeah, we got to do better about that. Thanks so much for the call, John. Appreciate it. Last word on this, Julia in Arcadia. Julia, go.
Okay, so we all need to call Pasadena Chief of Police Harris. Chief Harris is a former Marine. Why don't we ring his phone off the hook? Because I agree with that. It is so pollutant. We have the fires. We have the Arroyo Seco. You know, maybe the old Speedway is my quick thought is do it at the old Speedway, a public thing, and you could have your family sitting in the seats.
That's one idea, but I don't know. I think it's time to make it unacceptable everywhere, public and private. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC.